5 years ago, we bought this 2-unit rental property in France for 113,000 euros. One of our tenants just moved out, so we need to turn over one of the units this summer. In this video, I'm going to give you the backstory of this property, a little tour of the unit that was just vacated, and show you all of the real numbers. If you're thinking about investing in French real estate, I hope this will be helpful for you. It hasn't really been passive income, more like a money pit. I'll explain. I'm Susie, I'm American, and I've been living here in Dijon, France since 2008. For the past 5 years, my French husband and I have been building a small real estate portfolio here. You may have seen some of my videos about our garage to short-term rental conversion, which I have talked about a fair amount here already on my channel. But today I'm going to be talking about one of our long-term rental properties, the good, the bad, and the really expensive surprises. This is going to be part 1 in a series of videos about turning over this property this summer. Today, I'm showing you the real numbers and giving you a tour. In the next video, I'm going to document the work that we're doing to get it ready for the next tenant. And then I'll walk you through the process of selecting a new tenant. But first, if you would like to receive more practical information like this about life in France, you can scan the QR code here to sign up for my email list, or click on the link in the video description below. First, let me give you a little background about this property. Let me take you way back to the summer of 2020 when we were still just 40 years old. I had recently just had this epiphany about how we needed to get control of our personal finances and really start planning for retirement, which corresponded with this crazy period of super low interest rates. At the time, my husband and I were in the process of converting our garage into a short-term rental unit with a 10-year 0.88% interest loan that we had gotten from the bank. We had also just bought another furnished rental property that we do not manage ourselves via a 20-year mortgage with a 1% interest rate. And I somehow had the wild idea to ask the bank if they would be willing to finance another rental property around the same time. And I was shocked when they responded favorably. So we spent the summer of 2020 working on the conversion of our garage and running numbers on and visiting almost 20 properties in the area looking for another long-term rental property. It was a long but actually kind of fun and very instructive process. And in the end, we found this side-by-side duplex in Célanger, a town of 2,400 people, about 35 minutes from Dijon. We bought it for 113,000 euros. And like I said, it's a 2-unit building with a total living area of about 146 square meters. So we paid about 773 euros per square meter. If you look on meilleuragent.com, a French real estate website, you can see that the average price for let's go with house, just because it's lower, in Célanger is 1,370 euros per square meter in this town. So we paid about half that. In addition to the 113,000 euros that we paid for the property, we also paid frais de notaire on top of that. So notary fees, they're kind of similar to closing costs. They include transfer taxes to the government, plus the lawyer's fees for handling all of the official paperwork. Our frais de notaire for this transaction were 6,562 euros, which is about 6% of the purchase price and pretty typical, pretty standard in France. But of course, the frais de notaire are calculated depending on the transaction. And we paid for these out of pocket, basically as our down payment. So we got a 20-year mortgage for this property, which is also pretty standard in France. And at the time, we were able to get a 1.25% interest rate for this mortgage. And the mortgage is actually for 114,258 euros. So it's actually a little bit more than the purchase price. And I think the extra was meant to help us cover some of the additional fees that we had when we bought this place as well. So our mortgage for this property is about 560 euros a month, which includes borrower's insurance, which is mandatory in France and which we also get through our bank as well. We also pay 21 euros a month in homeowner's insurance. The name in French is assurance propriétaire non occupant, because we don't live there, but we still pay insurance for the property. And we pay about 90 euros a month in property taxes or taxe foncière. So our total expenses for this property are about 670 euros per month. So there are 2 units. Like I mentioned, there is a 1-bedroom unit that is about 51 square meters that we have been renting for 395 euros per month. And the other unit, which is a bit larger, has 3 bedrooms and is about 95 square meters. And we've been renting it for 530 euros a month. Both of the rents haven't changed in the past 5 years since we bought the place and since our tenants have been living there. The 3-bedroom unit is the one that we'll be refreshing this summer, and we're also planning on increasing the rent a bit for that unit as well, but I'll talk more about that in one of the future videos. So until our tenant in the 3-bedroom unit just moved out, we had the same tenants since we bought the place. So this property was bringing in 925 euros a month in terms of rent, whereas our basic operating costs are about 670 euros per month. That is not including all of the work that we've done, though. So there is a little cushion between the amount that the property brings in for rent and the amount that we have to spend every month for the operating costs. But unfortunately, that cushion has not been enough to cover all of the additional expenses that we have had for this property. Back in 2020, we thought we were getting a pretty good deal. We didn't think that the property needed that much work, and we knew that the rental market in the area was pretty strong. There are several big employers in the area and very few decent rentals. If you look at Le Bon Coin as of today, there are only 2 other housing units for rent that are actually in the town of Selangor. In France, real estate investors often talk about rentabilité brute, so gross profitability. You take your annual rent divided by the purchase price. So for us, our annual rent of 11,100 euros divided by our 113,000 euro purchase price gives us a rentabilité brute of 9.82%, which looks quite good on paper. But we haven't gotten to all of the additional work-related expenses that we've had yet. So let's get into that now. So like I said before, since we bought the place almost 5 years ago, we've had the same tenants that have been there, and they have paid down already a chunk of the capital of the mortgage, which has been great. But we've also had several relatively big unexpected expenses as well. And I'm just going to go over the biggest expenses that we've had because in prepping for this video, I went back over our expenses for the past 5 years and I realized that there's been a lot of little expenses here and there. But for this video, I'm just going to give you the greatest hits. In the summer of 2022, our tenant informed us that the unit was infested with bedbugs. To exterminate the bedbugs, we had to go to great lengths. So we had to tear down the ceiling in one of the bedrooms where the exterminators thought that the infestation was mainly concentrated, tear down the ceilings, strip out the baseboards, take out the sockets, get everything professionally fumigated. And then the tenant had to basically move all of her belongings, like she packed everything up, and the exterminator came and transported all of the tenant's belongings to a massive freezer where all of her belongings had to be frozen for a certain period of time in order to kill all of the bed bugs, I guess. And then our tenant basically had to move back into the unit afterwards. And afterwards, we also had to replace the ceiling and get it painted and basically put the bedroom back together. And we tore down the baseboards in most of the rest of the unit as well. And so it was just a ton of work to fumigate, exterminate, and then also to put the place back together afterwards. So it was 1,900 euros for the pest control company and 3,000 euros for the new ceilings and baseboards in the bedroom. And I don't necessarily know if it was really our responsibility as the landlords to pay for this. Because the bed bugs were not in the unit when the tenant had moved in almost 2 years before. And the work was quite expensive, but we wanted it taken care of correctly, and we felt a sort of moral obligation to pay for it. And in 2022, we replaced the furnace in the other unit for 2,800 euros, but we had sort of anticipated that would be an eventual expense because we knew when we bought the place that the furnace was old. And it's also something that we need to keep in mind for the 3-bedroom unit on the other side, the one that we are turning over this summer, because the old furnace is still in that unit and it will probably need to be replaced in the next 5 years or so. So that's something that we need to budget for and anticipate going forward as well. Another expense in the future. The next expensive surprise came around the end of 2023 when our tenant called us and said that the ceiling in the utility room had basically collapsed. And it turned out that there was extensive water damage because of the shower, which it was right above the utility room on the second floor. Basically, the paneling around the shower was not waterproof. So people have been showering in that shower for years, and water had been seeping into the wall and into the floor below, and caused extensive water damage. So everything had to be torn out. It was basically a gut renovation of the bathroom for 15,000 euros. And now it looks great. We did try to recycle some of the original bathroom fixtures. So this was the original sink, and we tried to recycle the shower tray and the shower fixtures and the shower door as well. But now everything is waterproof in there, and hopefully there will not be extensive damage caused, except because we were trying to be frugal and we recycled the shower tray. We just heard from our tenant a couple months ago that the shower tray had cracked. So that is one of the things that we're going to be replacing this summer, and it's sort of painful to have to go back and redo basically work that has just been done. But that is something that we have to take care of because we don't want extensive water damage again, the way that we just, thought we had fixed. So in the meantime, the shower tray has been sort of patched with some silicone, and apparently there's not water seeping into the floor at the moment, but we're going to take care of that and replace the shower tray. That's one of the things we have to do this summer as well. And at that time, it was late 2023, early 2024, we also took advantage of the fact that we had this handyman on site, and we had him replace the bathroom floor in the other unit as well. So that 15,000 euros covered some repairs in the other unit as well. But we had to pay for it all, of course. And the most recent expensive project has just been completed. Our poor tenant told us that the roof in the kitchen was leaking. So we just had the roof in the kitchen redone. And then we also took advantage of the fact that the roofer was there to have two ancient skylights replaced, one in the bathroom and one in one of the bedrooms. And also took advantage of having the roofer there to have the roofers there to have them check and just kind of update and fix any other little issues that they saw with the roof, to hopefully ensure that going forward we won't have any more problems like that. And the bill was about 10,000 euros for that work. In total, that's over 30,000 euros in work-related expenses on a 113,000 euro property in just the last 5 years or so. There were certain things that we knew we would have to replace over time. We knew that the furnaces would have to be replaced. We knew that the skylights were really old, but I don't think we anticipated spending so much money in such a short period of time. We operate this property under the régime réel, or the real regime tax system. So we can deduct all of the work expenses, the travaux, from our rental income when we're filing our income taxes. So the 15,000 euro bathroom renovation and 10,000 euro roof work were completely tax deductible. While we still have to pay for the work up front, of course, it means that when the work that we're doing on the property is equivalent basically to the amount that we're earning in rental income, it basically cancels it out, meaning that we don't have to pay additional income taxes on that rental income. Up to now, we've basically been able to cover the cost of this work with our cash reserves, with our savings, and also thanks to the income that we earn from our short-term rental property. But because we just bought another rental property, which I am planning on talking about on this channel in the next few weeks, and we did have another, significant outlay in terms of a down payment on another rental property, our cash reserves are running a bit low these days, which is a bit stressful. And so for the most recent work that we just did on the roof in Soulanges, we did actually take out another bank loan to pay for part of it. There are some advantages to having done all of this work, I hope. For one thing, we have the tax advantages, which is nice. And then we also, I hope, maybe I'm being naive, but I think we're also improving the property value. I think we're improving the quality of the housing as well for our tenants, which of course is important as well. But what's crazy is that despite having done all of this work, there is still more to be done in this unit. So are you ready to see it? Are you ready to go on a little tour? Okay, here we go. I'll put a floor plan up here so that you can see where we are, and I'll try to indicate which room we're in each time. We're in the unit that's mainly on the left with the rooms that are labeled in red on this plan. We will start here in the living room / dining room, which is a good size. It's a bit dark because there's just that one big window at the front as well as the door. But if you look at the ceiling, it looks very yellowed. I think it could definitely use a good dose of white paint, which is going to be the theme of this tour, that many surfaces in this unit definitely could use a good dose of white paint. There's a very nice view out the front. the front window to the church, the village church, whose construction dates back to the 13th century. In parts of the living room here, the baseboards are missing because they were ripped out during the bedbug infestation. So we might see if we can replace those. This is usually where the tenants put their couch, though, so it's not really visible, but we'll see what we can do. Next, we move into the kitchen here, which I suspect might actually look better in photos and in video than it is in real life. At the very least, we need to give one of the walls that's not actually visible here a fresh coat of white paint because one of the walls is looking quite dingy. And honestly, the whole kitchen could use a refresh. We really do need to replace the flooring, the countertops, and we will eventually need to replace all of this paneling, but that is a huge project and we're just not sure that we can tackle it right now. Just off the kitchen, there's a little water closet and the door needs to be replaced. That's definitely one of the things that we need to do because as of now, there's just this cheap closet door on it. And behind that, I didn't actually film when we were there the other day, but there is the utility room and I'm going to need to go in there this summer and just tidy it up as well. That's one of the other projects that I'll need to take care of this summer too. Next, we will make our way upstairs, and you can see there's another water closet upstairs as well. And here is the 15,000 euro shower room, bathroom, brand new. I think that it actually turned out really well. It looks really good. And also that skylight is new too. But I don't think you can really tell from these videos that the shower tray is cracked, but we will need to change that out this summer as well, just for peace of mind going forward. We don't want any more leaks or water damage up there. This is bedroom number 1, where the bedbug infiltration was concentrated. It has a new ceiling and baseboards, but it desperately needs another coat of white paint. I think that it just has one coat of paint on it, so I definitely want to refresh in here and make it look all bright and sparkling. And out the window here, you can see the new kitchen roof and a view of the little town hall, which is back behind our property. You have to walk through bedroom number 1 to get to the second bedroom, and it's a nice big bedroom, which needs to be completely repainted. The walls need to be repainted. I think we're going to go with white, and I might repaint all of this siding, this wooden siding. I might repaint this white as well. And we have another nice view out of the window towards the church across the street. And finally, here's a photo of bedroom number 3, which looks pretty good. It has a brand new skylight. I think our only plan for the summer for work that we need to do in here is to buy a shade for the skylight so that the future tenants can close the skylight and have nice dark blackout conditions for sleeping in here. That is the end of the tour. So just to summarize what we're planning on doing this summer in terms of getting it refreshed and ready for our next tenant is that I really want to paint those 2 bedrooms, the yellowish looking one and the one that only has one coat of paint on the wall so that they just look fresh and clean. And we also have one wall, at least one wall in the kitchen that I want to paint as well. It wasn't visible in any of the videos here, but we have one wall that looks really grungy and just is in dire need of a little refresh in the kitchen as well. Plus, as I mentioned, we need to replace the doors or the door in the water closet by the kitchen. And we also need to tidy up the utility room. We need to buy a shade for the skylight in the bedroom, and we need to replace the shower tray. So that's the bare minimum, and those are the things that we're hoping to get done this summer before our next new tenant moves in. How long will all of that take? How much will it cost? That remains to be seen, but I will let you know. The big lingering question at the moment is what to do about the kitchen. It's sort of our topic of debate at dinner every night these days. I think truly the kitchen will need, in the near future, it needs to be completely renovated. But I think that at the moment, we don't necessarily have the time or the energy or the money, to be honest, to do a full kitchen renovation. So I think we'll probably just freshen it up and put it back on the rental market and just be very intentional about planning for the future and, saving up money and planning ahead and just recognizing that we are going to need to budget for a complete kitchen renovation in the next few years, maybe between the next tenants. Maybe after this tenant moves out, we'll bite the bullet and renovate the kitchen. Who knows when that will be, but I think this is something that needs to be done in the next 3 to 5 years. Was this property a good investment? Well, it's hard to say for the moment. We are treating this as a long-term investment with our very low interest rate, the stable rental market, and the tax advantages of the régime réel. We're building equity while hopefully seeing some appreciation in the long term. In the next video, I'll show you the actual work that we do this summer, and then I'll take you through the process of posting the listing and selecting a tenant. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about real estate investments in France. Don't forget to sign up for my email newsletter using the QR code here or the link in the video description below. And if you're curious about real estate in France, you can check out these other playlists here on my channel, one generally about real estate, and then I have one that's more specifically about our short-term rental property here in Dijon, how much it costs to renovate it, how we operate it, and I give occasional updates on how much income it brings in as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, à bientôt!